morning, viewers. This is National Orientation Agency, River State, and welcome to NOA River State Dialogue. On this forum, we communicate government policies, programs and activities to citizens and entertain feedback and support for such policies. Today, we shall be talking about one of the policies that is trending in Nigeria, and that is deregulation of the petroleum downstream sector. In the history of Nigeria, deregulating the downstream oil sector through gradual and total subsidy removal has engendered intense debate in Nigeria, with the government claiming that it will guarantee long-term stability in product supply and price. To take on this topic today, with me in the studio is Dr. Edward Banigo. He's the Assistant Director and the Head of Department Programs. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Viewers are welcome.
I have also with me in the studio this morning Mr. Abiye Senibo. He is the Community Orientation and Mobilization Officer in charge of NOA Office, Akukutoru Local Government Area. You are welcome, sir.
Good morning, viewers.
Remember, you can send in your questions, comments, and suggestions on this program. And so let's start off. Dr. Edward Banigo, what is the whole talk about deregulation of the petroleum downstream sector? What is it all about?
Well, thank you for that question. Just like you said, this is a trending matter, a trending issue across the country. Generally, what is deregulation? Deregulation is removal of government control over a given sector. And in this case now, we're talking about the downstream sector of the petroleum industry. So, deregulating the petroleum industry, that is the downstream sector, simply means the removal of government control. Deregulate, removing government control from that sector, especially when it comes to price fixing, and to allow the forces of demand to determine prices of products, kerosene, petrol, diesel, as the case may be. So, and it's also a process of opening up the sector for capable players to come in a transparent manner that will ensure product availability, stability, and of course price reduction. So essentially, that is what it is. Government should have no business, as we say, in business. So that is what government want to achieve by regulating the downstream sector of the petroleum industry.
Okay, but has this happened before? Has it happened in any sector?
Yes,
in the country?
It has happened in one of the sectors,
okay.
And a predominant sector at that.
Okay.
A predominant sector at that. That is the telecom sector.
Okay.
Just about during the Obasanjo regime, the telecommunication came in, the GSM telecommunication came in. In fact, I can tell you, as at then when it came in, it was for a particular class because of the hike and the expensive nature of everything. Because then it was still closed. We remember Econet came in, MTN came in, and you go to buy SIM. SIM was as high as 30,000, 20,000. Telephone, and those telephones are not even as quality as the telephone we use today. They were as high as 40, 50,000. By the time you buy the two, you're spending 70, 60 something thousand. But what happened? Just like back then, Globalcom and indigenous telecommunication came in. Of course, they came in trailing behind Econet and MTN. And so it was competition. They thought of what to do, and they came in. They introduced per second billing. Before us, people started switching to Globalcom. Then everybody was switching to Globalcom, and then MTN and Econet has to be in business because it was competition. All they did was to follow suit and come to per second billing, and so the price crashed. Today, as we speak, the telecommunication sector, the GSM, is not for any class, it's for everybody, because there are phones for both region where everybody can afford. SIM, as we speak now, is virtually free. Maybe 200 or you pay 200 naira, is free. And even with the subscription phone, it has different prices that people can afford. And it came with it doesn't end there. It came with a lot of employment, because every street you go, you you see athletics, people putting umbrella green. In fact, initially people were even making call. But because of how reduced that is, everybody now virtually have phone, so that has disappeared. Mm-hmm. So you see, the economy was stimulated, the price came down, and we saw it work, in our very before. So it has worked in the telecom sector.
Okay.
Very well, worked very well.
It has made it available to the common man of the street. Yeah. But are there advantages of this policy? Do you think it will be the same in what has happened in the telecommunication sector? Is it going to be the same? Are there advantages of this policy of the regulation of the petroleum downstream sector?
Of course, so much advantages. And remember I said earlier during my opening speech that the regulation is a process. So that process has to be started.
Okay.
So it's a process. And ultimately, the ultimate and final destination will be complete government hands-off from this system. Mm-hmm. When that is done, the advantages are enormous. First and foremost, regulation is synonymous with some kind of monopoly. Today we have some NNPC is more or less like a monopoly, and where there's a monopoly, there's always corruption.
Yes.
That's one is settled.
Okay.
It's known everywhere. Monopoly breeds corruption, and we know the anti-corruption stance of this administration. Mm-hmm. The government wants to stop corruption at all costs. Okay. So one of the tools to do that is to deregulate. Now, when you deregulate, corruption will go.
Okay.
When you deregulate, the resources which government have been using over these years to subsidize petroleum products will be channeled and freed and channeled to other sectors.
Yeah.
The current budget today, we are told, has no provision for subsidy. Where would that money be channeled to? Education, infrastructure, and some other social welfare that will benefit the people ultimately. So that is one critical benefit of deregulation. And of course, when you have more players, they say the more the merrier. When you have more players in the sector, it will create more jobs.
Yeah.
It will create more jobs. It will bring investment. That investment in refining, investment in storage, investment in transportation, investment in marketing, investment in filling stations. People will have to man these facilities. That is job. And we know that one great problem we have in this country is unemployment. So any policy that is geared towards solving that problem, that creating job, it should be a welcome development.
Yeah.
It should be something that we should embrace with our two hands. And again, apart from that, here in the Niger Delta, we have the issue of coal fire. Talk about coal fire.
Yeah, yes.
Go around the creeks, they are all messed up with crude oil. With here in Port we can't even breathe well because of carbons all over the place. Now, with a deregulated sector, players will come in. Even those who are doing the wrong thing may decide to get license and go into multiple refining. Yeah. With this, the environment will be clean up and products will be available. Today, most households use kerosene, but the kerosene we have today, most of them are adulterated. Yes. And now we're getting to dry season. We'll start hearing cases of explosion, fire break, and all because of the adulterated nature of kerosene, which most households are using. Now, with a deregulated sector, refiners will come on stream, mobile refiners will come on stream, even big refiners will come, and kerosene will be easily available. Other products will be easily available. So there are many. In fact, it will take me like 1 hour to reel out the advantage of deregulation. Check the broadcast sector. It was deregulated. Today, it is a massive employer of people.
Yes, exactly.
And people have choice. Check the airline sector. Formerly, when Nigeria Airways was there, you have to bribe somebody to get the ticket. When there was equal licenses, you have to bribe to get them. So, a deregulated system will ensure that there's transparency and corruption will just go down.
Yeah, you have a choice.
You have a choice.
Yes.
If we're talking about democracy politically,
yes.
we should also be talking about democratizing the economic sphere. Yes. So this is one of the ways we can be giving choices to choose from either player A or player B. So many.
Yeah, Mr. Abie Telibo, in our rural areas, we have that can't even speak English. They speak their local dialect, and you are a community orientation and mobilization officer. How will you take this message? Because that woman in the marketplace or in her village that goes to pick some, and all that, and at the end of the day goes to buy one bottle of kerosene or a jerry can of kerosene, and you are talking about deregulation. So that is big grammar. So how are you going to communicate to that woman, to that man in the community that doesn't understand what the meaning of deregulation is? How are you going to do that?
Yeah, this is a very beautiful and welcome question. In fact, this is what the NOA is uniquely structured for.
Okay.
This is what the national, because we have office at the center, state, and the local government areas, the 704 local government areas.
Okay.
And most of the community orientation and mobilization officers you find there can speak the vernacular, they can speak the language of the people. So they know how to write the messages down home, they know how to meet them, they know how to talk to them, when and where to meet them and to talk to them. So that's what we do. That's why the NOA is uniquely different from every other organization when it comes to enlightenment and sensitization. Yeah, you can always give it to us because we are structured to do it. And so that's what we do.
And we can better pass on the message
to
do it. So now I want to take you up on something. If you are not Mr. Abie Senibo, if you are to speak to that local woman there, I know you are from Abubutoru local government area. So tell us how you will communicate this message to your people.
I'm not saying when the one who got a mobile and then ongi diploma tamunoke constant Nigeria send boma ongi diploma and I say kudoye na paka book ma video ami okeresi paka boy na go fuel paka boy diesel paka boy no fuel better what do na fena and deli na me what do fena then na government and go equity big bell na say subsidy me subsidy me government and bell money big bala semenia money and then the more government them subsidy me enhance enhance mo and ufuna the back government and say corruption so and what enhance micro me go and say and it enhance kuma to me in a big go te fete derba e febra enye derba and ko me pakam de erwa to me konama pakambo to me brilamba jasa erwa krimeyaro ogrosuma igola mate taka ofori ofori and then go be brofamba because Ibrahim monda go iya derba so me na ma me adoku bare so me na ko opera fugite me engage the regulation of downstream sector said the beginning said that government Brazil opera ma bra fugite doki and the man in the lab on me tell now.
Okay, so that's the Calabari language. And can you just tell us what you have told your people?
The nutshell, what I've just said, I said the deregulation policy is a policy of government to deliberately and consciously remove, the payment of subsidy and open up, that sector of the economy for private participation. And then stimulate the economy. People will come with investment. There will be employment, corruption will ease out, the product will be available, and then at the end of the day, we will all be good for it that we did, that we accepted it. That's what I just said in the nutshell.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Abie Senibo. It has been wonderful. And so you can start sending in your comments, questions if you have any, and suggestions. We are here, have capable people that are ready to speak the language to you for you to understand the meaning of the regulation of the petroleum downstream sector. Now, Dr. Badibu, is there any reason for people to be afraid of this policy? Are there disadvantages of this policy?
Well, I will not say this, I won't call it disadvantage, perhaps challenges. Okay. The introduction of any policy at all is fraught with some challenges, and this one is not an exception.
Okay.
This country has been talking about deregulation till today, simply because of challenges, some misplaced, based on anxiety, based on misinformation, some disinformation, some, generally misplaced. So the only advantage when people usually talk about is price increase. Yes, I agree that at the beginning there could be, because some people want to take advantage of the system of deregulation to increase high price at the beginning. But ultimately, the price will crash. My colleague here talked about the telecom sector and how, when they started, how SIMs were going for 30,000 and so on. But today, SIM goes for 7 naira more or less. Even the banking sector that has been deregulated, today you can open an account with 7 naira. But before now, some banks will charge as much as 50,000 naira to open an account. So initially, there could be some challenges like this one, a slight increase in prices and all that. But with time, when there are more players, when the forces of demand and supply will be at play, of course, the price will crash. And let us not be deceived. This is not something about party A or party B. It is good to know that all the parties in this country have endorsed more or less this deregulation, because from 1999 to today, nearly all governments have talked about the regulation. So there is some beauty, there is advantage if that is why successive governments have been talking about deregulation. It is just that people with wrong intention or people with wrong information sometimes try to frustrate, try to paint this policy in bad light. Otherwise, I do not see any disadvantage other than the initial anxiety about price increase.
Okay. And then, do you have any one?
Like my senior colleague had just said, there is no disadvantage. It is the fear of the unknown.
Okay.
Normally, when you're going into any new thing, people have this fear of the unknown. And, there's a time lag. What you're saying, even the Bible said, despise not the days of little beginning. When something is starting, you don't expect to, as you hit the ground running, the benefits will come. It's not done anywhere. There is a time lag that people would need to endure. Even like now, projects are going on everywhere. We are meant to pay some sacrifice, a divert road and every year, but ultimately the roads will be open and everybody will enjoy. So there is nowhere, it's that fear, just the fear of the unknown that is there. That's what I see. Ultimately, it's good. We'll all be good for it and we'll all benefit it.
Well, government is claiming that with the deregulation, that the products will be readily available, and like you also mentioned, that the money set aside for subsidy can be put in to other uses. How true is this?
Obviously, there's every truth in this, that with deregulation, there will be a regulation of product. Because remember, the regulation will bring in businessmen, and they are not there to joke. They are not coming into Thailand their money. Build refinery endlessly. They want to hit the ground running. If they are building refinery, they build at the shortest possible time so that they can recoup their money. If they are bringing products, they make sure they bring products that can sell out so that they make their money. So if player A doesn't have product, of course player B will have product. But the situation where we have now, where we have just one or two players, if they do not have product, then this country is a problem. But when you have many players, many refineries, Dangote is coming up with his refinery. There's one in Imo State. And we believe that many more will come. Even we hear that the River State government is putting an idea of how to set up one. So when all these ones come on stream, of course, the products will be there. If Dangote does not have, the one in Owerri will have, the one in Port Harcourt will have, the one in Calabar, I even hear Buato is also either taking of doing a refinery in Cross River State. So it is because of the deregulated regime, the deregulation that government is portraying. That's why these people are coming on. If you regulate the system the way it is now, nobody will invest because they will be afraid that market forces will not be allowed to determine the price of the goods and the product they are selling. So there will be availability of product. That's key. Job. And of course, resources to tackle other sectors.
We have a lot of comments coming in. So I'd like to take some comments now. We have from Mr. Briggs. He said, deregulating the petroleum downstream sector is inevitable and it is due. It is time for that. Yes, because people have suffered a lot,
It's an idea whose time has come.
Yes, it's true. The advantages are enormous. Let us embrace it. Well done, NOA Rivers State. Thank you, Mr. Briggs. I also have from Mr. Chiwe Opara. He said, deregulation of the petroleum downstream sector is a step in the right direction, as it will give room for positive competition in the oil sector, make the product available, and create jobs for the people. We agree. We've talked about that, right, Mr. Senator? Yeah, create employment of our teeming youth, and the products will be readily available. We also have from Mr. Ellis Dapa. He says government is not a good businessman. Yeah, you agree?
Yes,
Government is not a good businessman. So the regulation of the petroleum downstream sector is very necessary. NOA, you are doing a good job. Thank you, Mr. Dapa. And Ms. Enobogian, she says, well done, NOA. Thank you so much. I will also have from Bibiba Princeville. She says, well done, Kobo Akukutoru, for taking this to the grassroots, where the people from the Niger Delta can understand. So thank you, Mr. Selibo, for taking the message in Calamari language to the grassroots. Thank you. We also have from Mr. Bekibo Williams. He says, putting our refineries to function is a priority to deregulation. Deregulation is not a problem. Refineries and modular refineries is just the answer. Yeah, at least when this thing kicks off,
yes.
I think what will happen to our refineries? Because it's like they have been in the state of comatose.
Yes, they have been, but it is because of this regulated regime all this while that is keeping things the way they are.
Okay.
The other time, the Minister for Petroleum Resources even alluded to the fact that when the deregulation takes place in a deregulated regime, that the refineries will be rehabilitated. Okay. That indeed, a thought will come up in Port Harcourt that when the deregulation is through, okay, that a third refinery is coming up. They will embed the third refinery in the existing two refineries. So you can see that once we are through with this process, Kaduna, Port Harcourt, and even Warri will come up.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I have also from Mrs. Rosemary Abehad. She said, I want to know the question. If the federal government has really deregulated the petroleum downstream sector to completely remove subsidy. This is because the government is still regulating the price to avoid arbitrary prices. So where is the deregulation then? And from my knowledge of deregulation of petroleum downstream sector is total control of the sector by market forces and not the government controlling the price, which means government is still paying subsidy in a way.
Yeah.
Is there a total removal now?
No, there's partial in the sense that the petroleum equalization fund is still there, trying to bridge product price, prices, So, like we mentioned at the beginning, the definition is a process. The process is not an event.
Okay.
It will stretch, and while deregulating, government is also sensitive to the plight of the people.
Okay.
So they take this in gradually to study the impact on the masses and the economy. Okay. So you can't just deregulate immediately and hands off, because these structures will have to go. It's a gradual thing. So right now we say there's partial deregulation.
Okay.
So, but the ultimate is complete deregulation.
Okay.
That is it.
Okay. So I have more coming in, so many. So let me try to take some of them. We have from Boma Amadi said the concept deregulation is a concept that needs to be explained properly to the general public, and that's what we are trying to do. Even in communicating to the people in the local dialect, in their own terms, to enable them understand it properly and adequately. Now this topic is going to run for some weeks. We're going to try to bring, if they'll make people really understand what deregulation of the petroleum downstream sector is. Thank you.
Let me just add to that. As a head of program of NOA, I'm aware that our PUMUs in all the 23 local government have been engaging with stakeholders on this issue. And the feedback we are getting is very encouraging. People want it. Because people are tired of this forth and back idea of
petroleum prices going up and down. Okay. We have also from Princeville. He said, as the saying goes, monotony kills interest. The petroleum sector needs to be deregulated. Thank you. I have from Mr. Obaro Umukoro. The deregulation will inevitably bring some financial strain with it. Like you said, you mentioned that the initial, in the light of the prevailing economic hardship and recession, what are the measures on ground to help the Nigerians absorb the shock? That's a big one. What are there measures on ground to help Nigerians absorb the shock that the removal of the subsidy will inflict on their purchasing power?
And that's why it is called gradual.
Okay.
It is not, one box stop as soon as it is gradual. Now, gradual meaning that the money that we, getting, assuming the regulation we are paying 1 billion, and they started, gradual removal. Say half of the 100 billion will be taken to other sectors. We have seen a subsidy reinvestment program that are going on. Subsidy reinvestment program. Those monies were gotten out of the partial subsidy removal, and they were invested to help other places to cushion the effect that people are going through the hardship. Sometimes they used to buy buses, government buses, and they will take 50 naira length and breadth of anywhere you're going, and things like that. So that's the way government can cushion. That's why it is called gradual. Yes.
Are there other measures?
Yes. Historically, we know that each time there's an issue of deregulation, government is mindful of the fact that some segment of society will be negative or might be negatively impacted, and they have been taking measures. Remember, the Petroleum Trust Fund was as a fallout of deregulation. Shopee too was as a fallout of deregulation. So in this case too, the money saved from the process, I'm sure government will employ it back to improve the welfare of the people. And indeed, apart from deregulation, the government itself have been putting programs in place to make sure that the welfare of the people is scattered. So this program, I'm sure, recently the NLC and the federal government, I think they were into some kind of dialogue, and government was, presenting some measures which they intend to put in place to cushion the effect. So obviously, government will come up with something. So
I have one, I think this is the last I can take, from Informa Obele. It says government is long overdue for this deregulation. We agree. It's necessary at the time of the growing economy. Government should also focus on other sources of income generation.
Of course, you see, even the
agriculture. Agriculture, they will pay lip service to agriculture. This is the time for government to actually go and mechanize agriculture. Not this kind of subsidiary agriculture that we're into. In fact, to attract young graduates and young people, agriculture has to be done differently. Not the whole and the cutlass that will not attract graduates. Of course, you have to mechanize it and make it attractive for young graduates to be attracted to agriculture. When the government has paid enough lip service, now is the time. They want to diversify. Now is the time to diversify.
It's true. Government needs to diversify, and even the petroleum sector itself, government have not explored all the value chain. So deregulation will bring out all the, stretch out the value chain so that we reap the benefit from it. That's the.
Okay, so one last word for the people, Mr. Abie Senigo.
Deregulation is the way to go. Let's start. If you don't start, eventually you cannot break the fear. And that is fear of unknown. So if you start, you can break it. So that's the direction to go.
Okay, that's all.
Well, they say nothing venture, nothing gain. We must venture into deregulation to get the benefits. And again, deregulation is an idea whose time has come. We must embrace it to move Nigeria forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, viewers. Thank you for streaming live with us today. We must embrace the regulation of the petroleum downstream sector to move Nigeria forward. Thank you for all your comments, questions, and suggestions. This is all we can take for today. Recall that you can catch up on our previous editions if you go to our YouTube channel, NOA River State. Click on the subscribe button. We'll be streaming live here again next Friday, same time, same platform. And next week Friday, we're going to be airing a special edition of deregulation of the petroleum downstream sector. Because we'll be having key players in this sector live in the studio to take on your questions and suggestions. Remember, COVID-19 is real. Take responsibility for all your actions. Stop fake news, stop hate speech, stop misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. This is National Orientation Agency, Rivers State, moving Nigeria to greatness. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.